There's something that happens around a campfire that doesn't happen anywhere else. People get real and they slow down. They look at each other in the eye and they say things that actually matter about their kids, about their fears, about what they wish they'd know sooner. I'm Mike McDonald. I spent 32 years working with kids and the people who raise them. I've seen what builds a strong kid and I've seen what doesn't. And the one thing I keep coming back to is this: the parents who get it right aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones willing to just keep asking better questions. And that's what this show is about: a campfire, a real conversation, no perfect answers, just honest talk about one of the hardest and most important things any of us will ever do. My guest today is Meagan Clanahan. Meagan is a Dallas native who has spent nearly 2 decades putting down roots with her husband, Matt. A love story that started when she kicked a soccer ball to LSU and fell for an Aggie in Baton Rouge. She survived Hurricane Katrina on the way back to Texas. Following several years of infertility, their miracle twins, Ryan and Quinn, were born in June of 2010. She is a devoted Astros fan, Pinot Grigio and Sonic Diet Coke loyalist, love that, and someone who believes a mindless book and a girls' night out are underrated forms of self-care. She is the co-owner of Houston Moms, one of the most read local parenting platforms in Texas, reaching hundreds of thousands of mothers. Welcome around the campfire, Meagan. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You and I do very similar things here in our part of the world, and I really felt compelled to bring you on. I love your story. Your bio is amazing, by the way. We're in the business of serving and educating and taking care of families, right? You in particular, moms, and me in particular, kids, right? But we also have these personal lives, right, that run parallel and sometimes counter to what we're doing. And I really wanted to dive into that because I feel like for you, there's this version of motherhood that exists online. It's organized, it's very intentional. The kids are thriving, the business is growing, the latte is always
Yeah.
hot. And then there's the version that actually really happens at the house, right? And I want to dive into that today. So today's conversation isn't about the platform per se. It's about that gap between the community that you build for other people and the family that you're building at home. What it actually looks like to run something meaningful and still be present for your kids. I want to pause on one thing before we go anywhere else. Several years ago, you had the challenge of infertility, and then twins in 2010, Ryan and Quinn. That's not a small thing to carry when you're building a community for moms. But first, for anyone who doesn't already know your work, give us the 30-second version of what you've built and what it means to you.
So Houston Moms is a platform. It is specifically designed to engage, inspire, make this big old city, because you know Houston, it feels so large. And we really want moms to have connection. We want moms to have places to go. We want to provide them resources so it feels a little less lonely, a little more connected, and that at 2 a.m. you are not sitting there alone. There's somebody in the trenches with you. And we have veteran writers and we have newbie writers. And so we have literally thousands and thousands of posts that are written by Houston moms for Houston moms. This isn't AI stuff. These are real moms who are living a real life.
Before any of this existed, what were you actually looking for as a mom, and what couldn't you find?
So it's an interesting backstory. So you mentioned the infertility stuff, but that stuff is what got me started into blogging and writing. So I had a friend, this was right at the advent of mommy bloggers, if you will. And if you say mommy bloggers to me right now, I would like throat punch you because like I hate the term mommy bloggers.
Fair.
We are not mommy bloggers. But back in the day, that was what was it. And I had a friend who reached out and was like, hey, like, this person I think is going through something similar. You may want to follow them. And I was like, oh, I guess I could just start my own blog too. And I am a writer by nature. So I started my own blog to start documenting this journey of trying to become a mom and then becoming a mom. And for better for worse, Ryan and Quinn's story is out there on the internet. And subsequently, Quinn had a handful of heart issues, had open heart surgery when she was 15 and 16 months old. It's all been documented, which is really good. Like they have an online scrapbook because I gave up on like the original scrapbook, like I don't know, 3 months in, I had twins. I was like done. But it's so that's kind of how it all started. But connecting within that group and of these moms who really just wanted to have their voice heard, that we didn't want to feel alone in our journey, and we had stuff to share and then eventually wisdom to share. That's kind of how Houston Moms got started.
Yeah, there had to have been a moment there, and I love the impetus for the creation of the business and the organization, right? I mean, that's very similar kind of to what I was doing in the very beginning. But there had to have been this moment where you realized this wasn't just your problem or your challenges, right? That other moms were sitting in the same room feeling sort of the exact same thing. Am I right about that?
Yeah, and to give full credit, so this was not my brainchild. This was an advent of somebody it was a City Mom Collective group. It used to be like 80, 90, some odd sites. And we had an original owner, and I just wanted to write for them. And I ended up selling for them. And I think that's how we originally met. And then she moved 9 years ago. And so that's when we purchased Houston Moms. But yeah, like the mission was always clear that we wanted a space for not only people who want to get their voice, but like for the millions of Houston moms and beyond who log in and see that we're, we're here and we're here to support you.
It's funny you said mommy blogger because I really feel like that brought back a blast from the past. I kind of feel like that's how they referred to that, right?
No. And it was a very big business decision, like on the parts of some people to, like they wanted to capture the mommy blogger audience. And I mean, to be fair, we were called Houston Moms Blog before. And so, I mean, it kind of lent itself to that. But that's why we just call ourselves Houston Moms right now, because we are just like a full-scale digital website. But yeah, that was back in the day. But I know, like, if somebody reaches out to me now and they say Houston Mommy Blogger, I'm like, oh no. We're not doing that.
So when I think back to like 1994, when we started Kid Venture, I didn't have any kids at the time. I certainly was a big kid at the time, still kind of consider myself that. And I saw in the summer camp world that things could be done better for more profound reasons other than just having camp. But eventually I had kids, and then I was like, okay, wow, okay, we've built this business, Kid Venture, to provide summer camp in a particular type of way. Then I had kids. It's almost as if building the Kid Venture business helped me, I don't know, get going being a parent. And I'm curious from your standpoint, before you had kids, you got into the mommy business, that you got into to gathering all these mothers together and writing for them and doing copy. Did that somehow inform your parenting once you finally had kids, or what was the relationship with that?
Well, that's such a good question. The main thing it did was inform me of what I thought the type of parent I was going to be, that I was going to do these certain things, and I was gonna always put them in just Walmart onesies, because why dress them so cute? Because they're just gonna spit up on it. And once they get here, and you're like, especially if you have twins, you're gonna match everything. And we're gonna, in the living room, it's going to be, Toys R Us, rest in peace, And so I think what I learned from those moms before I became a mom was just that I knew my world was going to be rocked.
Yeah.
And
You had been forewarned by enough
yeah,
moms, right?
rocked in the best way, and then also rocked in like this really, really sacrificial way that I don't think that people really truly understand until they're in it.
So that's a great segue, and kind of the heart of what I really want to talk about today with you is So you built this community with the help of a lot of other people, right? On the premise of authentic motherhood, honest motherhood, the real version. That's the whole point of what you do. But at the same time, you're living your own motherhood in real time. Your mom to two teenagers, and those are not always the same conversation. And I've felt a version of this for like 32 years myself, building something for kids and families while also raising my own kids. People always tell me, oh my God, how do you do 26 camps and all this kind of stuff and 100,000 kids? And I'm like, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
The hard part are the four that I have at home. So I guess the question I'm gonna throw at you right now then is, you're in the business of telling mothers it's okay to be real, but what does it cost you personally to actually live that out in your own life at home, right?
So I would say, and most people would say, I'm pretty much an open book. You can see my children's journeys, and I've shared a lot. But there are still things, I mean, and people think that they know everything about me or my motherhood journey, and they don't, because especially as these kids get older, they have a digital footprint. I'm very aware of that. My kids just finished their, they're rising, I guess they call it rising sophomores now. And they're able to Google themselves. And they're like, Mom, why did I do this? Or, whatever. Like, why were you telling this story? And then as they get to be teenagers, the stories become really real. It's beyond just like, hey, like, I cannot get Ryan to sleep at night. It becomes more convoluted, like bigger stories that are more complicated that need to be like just held here. And I haven't quite found a solution for what that looks like. I ask for permission before I post anything. May I say this? May I post this picture? Or they'll find a picture and they'll be like, please take that down. And I do. As someone who owns a parenting website, I want to keep it real, but I have to keep it real and respect my family and their choices and our choices as a family. I think that's where it's really powerful that we bring in other voices of moms. It's not just my voice. Nobody needs to just hear me 24/7. So it's, 25 others who can be authentic in different spaces. Some feel more authentic over here, and then some are more comfortable being authentic over here.
Now, you bring up a really interesting thing that you just make me think of, access to information, social media. I mean, it permeates our life as opposed to when I was a kid, your kid's age. It was completely different. So do you think that so much access and so much opportunity to have yourself out there, whether that's on social or wherever it is, gives people the opportunity to show their authenticity? Or do you think, because I feel like it's in competition with being unauthentic?
I'm sort of same generation as you. I grew up, we didn't have a digital footprint, if you will. And I'm very glad that there are no pictures of me from the college years floating around, or that even high school years floating around on the internet. I kind of almost feel bad for this generation because they are growing up and everything is going to be tracked. It is going to be tracked in a big way and could affect jobs or, future schooling or whatnot. I think the trap that moms fall into now that we have, and I fall into this too. I had a conversation just the other day about the comparison trap. I try to keep it as real as I can. Because I try to keep it as real as I can, I am not one who has a phone in my face. If you look at my Instagram, I am not recording anything. I'm not shaming people who do. That is not where my comfort zone lies. I think the moms look at these influencers who have 5+ kids and they're all in matching outfits and they're going on vacations all the time. And it's like, that's really great for you.
But where's the picture of the big meltdown that they had right before they are rushing to the airport and no one can find?
For sure.
No
like,
one posts that, right?
Where is your passport? And everyone is losing their collective mind. So I think I'm at the age where I kind of take that as a grain of salt. What I think is fearsome that there's a lot of girls thinking that this is just, of what it's supposed to look like. I know the girls, since I have a high school girl, none of them went through their ugly years. Like, they did not do their time in
Right.
like the awkward stage. And because, and whether I blame it, or I don't know if that's the right word, whether I contribute it
Mm.
to the Sephora Ulta generation, whatever, but they're all coming out looking stunning. And if you saw a picture of me from 8th grade, Schimmelfinning Middle School, my God.
I'm so thankful that we didn't have social when in 1987, because
Yes.
back then it was just, if you did something stupid or you looked completely awkward, someone reminded you of it the next day, and then that was about it.
Or they talked about it at your wedding, and that was like the worst thing that happened. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, it was just,
Right.
but it wasn't documented. It wasn't
Yeah.
documented for the
Yeah.
school. It wasn't
Oh, yeah.
documented for future employers. I feel a little sad for our generation that they don't get kind of, I guess like the whole 90s summer is like trending again. Like, they can't do a 90s summer. There's ring cameras everywhere. What are you gonna do?
Right. Um, it's funny, no matter how many guests I have on a podcast, and everything I talk about kind of comes back to family, right? And kids, right? Because that is the premise of the show. But this rub we're talking about right now, reliance on technology and how it positively, but really many times negatively impacts our kids. Because let's face it, this generation of kids is really the first group of kids that has always had a cell phone, right? I've had one foot back when there was none of this, like you, and then one foot in it. So
Yeah.
I have a basis by which I can judge today on. But most people today, young kids, they don't have that anymore. They've always lived with it. That's just been a part of their
Yeah.
life. And every time I go there, gosh, I think I feel like I sound so old too, by the way. The old guy. Back when I
No,
was.
well, we also walked uphill,
Yeah, both
10
ways. You know
miles to
that.
school.
Right.
We did the whole thing. I think there's good and bad in it, though. I mean, our kids' brains, for sure, and I'm sure there's going to be studies of how this has affected their brains. But however much we want to face it, it's coming. There's just no way. So how do we better prepare them? I think that's where I
No.
meant like kind of the acceptance
Yeah.
standpoint. And not to say, I mean, my son, he plays a lot of video games. He's had it. They got their cell phones in 6th grade, which felt like holding out in Katy, Texas.
Yeah.
Who I like that felt like a long time because a lot of their friends got phones like in 3rd grade. So I was like, go me, but he's now like doing the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. It's his first stop, and the way he can just like their thumbs and the way their brains are wired to hit these buttons is different. No, I'm
Yes.
serious.
I know.
So
Yeah.
if you were to throw me a new app, I would be like, I have no idea. I threw my kid my phone to set her Instagram permissions because she could find it faster
Oh, yeah.
than I could.
No, there's a language there that they're way more fluent in.
Oh, it's just wild, and I don't know, but he can get your number one right with your Sunjoy, and it will come out.
But then again, once a week, I'm going over to my mom and dad's house just so that I can log them back into their Netflix account because they can't figure that out.
Exactly. No, and I don't even think we meant to go here for that, but
So
like
there's
the whole
levels. There's levels here.
the sandwich generation is a wild one, right? Because we're still
Yeah.
raising kids, and then we have
No, for sure.
elderly parents, and yeah,
Yep.
no, I'm
Yep.
right there with you. And I don't know. I'm just like, Mom, maybe I should never have given you the Facebook access. Like, maybe
So,
that was a mistake.
okay, Megan, so has building this community of Houston moms, right, made you a better mother, a more complicated one, or both? Or what does that actually look like? I mean, how's that really impacted you as a mom at home?
I have to think at the core it's made me a better mom. I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't think that it was a positive impact on my family. Now, can I say that there are some days that are really hard where, especially when they were younger, that I would, maybe I would have to prioritize work in a certain instance and the kids maybe come second. have I had to do a little more soul searching of like, am I prioritizing other people's kids over my own kids? And that was tough to work out. That was some therapy work too, because I am a people pleaser at heart. And but then it's almost like for a moment, especially when we were in the very, very big building stages, that like, oh wait, not I have two kiddos at home who still desperately need their mom too.
You can't go back in time, right? And hopefully that you learn from everything that you do, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. And what's one thing you would have done differently if you could go back in time in terms of the way you parent your kids?
I think I would just take into account that they have very big feelings about what I'm doing too. They're interested. They want to know. There's some times where I maybe had to like scoot them away and be like, hey, like this cannot happen right now. Or I can fully admit to this. There was some of do as I say, not as I do. So I'm like, be quiet as I'm like typing on, a love letter to my children. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But we're in tight quarters here. I work from home and the kids were around a lot. And so, I think at the time, I mean, would I change stuff? Sure. Would I have changed certain words that I had said? Of course. But I'm not sure that it's any different than any other working mom would have done. One thing moms are really excellent at, especially working moms, is a whole heaping ton of mom guilt. And we will pile that on ourselves. And yeah, so I kind of prefer not to think of the olden days. So I
Right.
don't feel really. I left my Catholic guilt in the background
Right.
a
Right.
few years ago.
So let's change this up a little bit then. If what would you say to a mother who is right at the beginning of building something like that you helped build with Houston Moms back in the day, right? Something that she cares about, right? Passionately, while her kids are still young enough to need her in the room. What advice would you give her now that you've sort of gone through that?
I would say organization is your key.
Yeah.
That is the only way you're going to get through it. I would say do not keep your schedule loosey goosey. Do block out times of when you are going to be on and when you're going to be off, especially if it's something that you're building from your home or you have to be gone. Color code, and that sounds very like type 3, type A, or type A nerdy. But it really helped keep me in track that like, hey, 9 to 12 is my block for Houston moms. That is how you're going to stay sane. Also making sure that you log off, because in this day and time, if you're starting something from the ground up, there's going to be a social media aspect component attached to that. There's going to be orders coming in or whatever it may be that you're doing, that it makes it really hard to disconnect. Schedule a time on your phone to just disconnect. I know it seems hard. I struggle with it, but you've got to tell your phone to tell you to go to sleep or, go to, like, seems ridiculous. Go hang out with your kids. Go take a walk. And also allow them into the excitement of what you're doing too. Like, it's pretty cool.
Feel like that advice is really good. It's not advice that I learned until much later, the one about block scheduling. Block scheduling has been a game changer for me because if I don't prioritize large chunks of time for specific things, and I'm the first to admit I'm ADD. I have been all my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my superpower and part of the chink in my armor.
Mm.
But man, block scheduling has just been a gift for me because it allows me to dial in and focus on certain things, and I just have to adhere to those parameters that I set for me. That's kind of the hard part of block scheduling, but you got to just sort of be strict about it, I guess, if you will.
Yes.
But that's great advice. I love that. Okay, I want to turn the attention now to Ryan and Quinn. And you said they're 16 now?
They just had their birthday
Uh,
last Wednesday. So yes, there. My
well, I
son
know
are 16.
probably unlike my house, there's no drama that goes on in that age for
None.
you. None
Mm-mm.
whatsoever.
Yep.
Um,
Totally smooth.
But as they've grown up watching you do all this their entire lives, they've probably never known a version of their mom who wasn't also building something else. And I think about that from sort of my own like personal experience and what my kids absorbed. Like they're so done with camp, by the way. They don't want to go back to camp.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Uh, but some of it I'm really proud of, and some of it I do differently. We chatted about this a little while ago. But what do you think Ryan and Quinn have taken away or taken in from watching you sort of build all this? And I mean both the things that you'd frame proudly and maybe things that you wouldn't.
Oh gosh, the things I wouldn't. So I think the proud things, they've seen a mama who has supported a lot of moms, has supported them in many aspects. A lot of what I do is, and how sort of it all started was with Quinn's Heart Effect. And so talking about that. And so they see that like there's a mom who's willing to go to bat and swing for them. I love that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that they know that there's alternatives to just going to an office situation. That, mom contributes to this household, and not that moms who are working, like, just stay at home moms, like, aren't contributing to a household, because they're very, very important. But I think they see a mom who's leaning into her passion. One of my biggest pride moments this past year finally happened. My daughter is writing for an English paper, and she's like, "Mom, can you help me edit this?" I would love to. Uh, Thank you so much for asking. Um, and then I tried not to, like, I couldn't go crazy on it because
Yeah,
it was,
you have to be really cool, sort of nonchalant when your kids finally come back to you and ask for something from you that you know that you're well
yeah,
equipped to provide. You have to be like,
yeah,
sure, yeah,
it's
no problem.
fine.
Can you give me
It's
five and I'll
fine.
be right there.
Yeah.
But
No, I
inside
do.
you're like, oh my gosh,
I do the exact same thing. And then
totally.
internally I'm giving myself, like, it's like my like, butterflies are flipping in my stomach. I'm like, they asked me for stuff. Like, oh, like something that I could actually provide, like besides food or a ride, you know? And then looking back, I think also uh, the second part of your question, sorry, I may have lost the loop,
No, the
was
things
like
that made you proud, but the things maybe that that you don't want them to hang out with, right? That you wish.
well, probably the times that I was in it, and we had like some, for better for worse, some TV things and whatnot, and I should have taken them more at their word that they weren't going to. The I regret pulling them on one or two times
Yeah,
where they weren't able to speak, and I can't take that back, but I got caught up in some things.
sure, sure. Wow, as parents, we get caught up in a whole lot of things, don't we? So,
Yeah, it was just like the people pleaser in me was like, sure, I can make it happen. And then I'm like throwing 20s from the side. Like, I don't know if it was my best work.
I was at a wedding this weekend and I have four kids. My oldest is 28. She's married in Dallas. And then I have my oldest boy is 25 and he's in law school right now. And then I have a daughter who's 20 and she's at Texas as junior. And then
Okay.
Michael Bennett is 13. So I run the gamut,
Wow.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so they were all with me this weekend and my wife because we were at a wedding and for a nephew of ours. And this guy, I was walking past this one guy, and I had been interacting with my kids, and he stopped me. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And I said, of course." He goes, I noticed, are those your older kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "I just was, really, it was really neat to see them engaging with you, And he goes, "I'll just be honest with you, man. I got a kid who's like 17, doesn't want anything to do with me, And I mean, what's the secret?" I'm like, "Dude, they all left me at 17. Like they all, and then they come back, right? And there's this thing, and I kind of explained to him, and he was like genuinely bummed about this, but it made me
Oh,
remember
it's
how
gonna make me
bummed.
cry.
Oh, I was, and I was like, it was kind of a moment, you know what I mean? Like Guys don't usually ask other guys those kind of questions, first of all. And so I was kind of taken aback by it, but I'm like, listen, and his wife was sitting right there. And I'm like, you can be the best parent in the world. In fact, really good parents grow really good independent kids to think for themselves and be their own people. And when you get to be about 17, 18 years old, something inside of you says, I need to go do exactly what I've been raised to do. And all of my kids sort of did that. They didn't want to have anything to do with me during that period of time. And in the moment, I just felt like I just internalized all of it. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done wrong as a parent? Why did my kids not want to hang out with me and be with me? And where's Superman dad when they're 6? You know what I mean? And they invite you to their classroom. They hit middle school. They're embarrassed if you pick them up in the car, and it sort of progresses. But somewhere around 24, 25, they come back, and they all come back like stronger than ever. And they need you then. And that's when you know that you kind of did what you were supposed to do. And I told the guy this, and his wife's like hitting him on the shoulder, going like, that, I told you, they're going to come back. He was like, Junior, like, they'll come back. I go, dude, they'll come back. Have you raised kids to think for themselves? Have you raised them to be independent? Have you raised them to value themselves in the world? He goes, yes. I go, then they'll come back, man. And I just think that's something we forget, especially when our kids get to be like your kid's age, when they're going to be 17, 18. And I probably did the same with my dad too. I'm leaving, something like that, Anyway, it was kind of it was really a unique moment. And, because when you're a parent, man, you made me think of that, because when your kid asks you to edit their work, what a small, tiny, simple thing. But to a parent, that's like, you want my help? You need my help, without me offering it up to you before you ask, right? That's a big deal, right,
It's
Megan?
stuck in my head, and thank you for sharing that, because I, when they're 16, they think they're so big, and I mean the attitudes are big.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they're oh so big,
yeah,
and every, I guess I would say, parent of older children that I talk to, they're like, they're preparing for this grown and flown idea, right?
yeah, yeah,
Where they are preparing to leave the nest. And if you have done your job correctly, they will leave the nest successfully and whatnot. And like, but what if they leave the nest and they hate me? I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. And like, and some days are, candidly, very, very hard.
yeah.
And of just trying to figure out, like, what have we gone wrong here? What have we done wrong here? Like, was it something I did wrong in the birthing process? Like, moms will take it all the way back there, I promise you.
Yeah.
And we will think that it was on us, or one particular word, or one particular day, or
Yeah, yeah.
or whatnot. And so it is hopeful. Your message was very hope filled.
Well,
So
it's
thank you
really,
for that.
I will tell you, it's not just a mom thing. The mom guilt thing is also a dad guilt thing too. And I think we wrestle with that too as well. I think we spend a lot of our time beating ourselves up with what we think in our minds we could have done to do a better job. And that's okay, because I think people who are passionate and care about trying to raise good kids and do the right things, who are fallible at heart, feel that way. Because if we didn't really care that much, we really wouldn't worry about what we did in the past. But
So,
letting go is got to be one of the best things, right? It's always one of those things when someone comes up and compliments me about my kids outside of the home. That's when I know that, yeah, I did something right, right? You know what I
yeah.
mean? And
Like,
so,
can I bring those kids home? You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like, my kids will get like the compliments, and like, whether it's church or work or whatever, and that, like, they're super busy kids, and they're like, your kids are amazing. Oh my gosh, like the way they interacted or
are we
talked to me,
talking
and
about
da
the
da
same
da.
kid?
And I'm like, seriously? I mean, and the same goes for school. But I've always said I would rather have the kid that can at least like behave outside
For
of
sure.
the house, and I will take it here. I prefer to not take it as much. Um, but like, but yeah, for the most part, like, 10 gold stars outside the house. And so I'm proud to, like, at least look like we're raising good citizens.
That's great.
And that's our goal here. And if I'm helping contribute in any way of them seeing what moms and women can do too, then I'm thrilled to do that. I don't know if they know exactly what my job is, but they know that I talk to a lot of people and that I write a lot. So
So, and that brings me to this because I want to bring it back from our kids to moms right now. And you kind of are in a unique place, right? There's a lot of parenting experts, but you've been in a room with moms, sort of speaking candidly and authentically for a while now. And I'm curious, today in 2026, what are moms telling you right now?
I feel like the majority of the things that people are telling us, or I'm getting side conversations on, is like kids and their mental health, and kids and how COVID affected kids, and how COVID or pandemic affected familial structures and
Yeah.
school structures, and kind of changed all of that. And this whole idea that almost these kids had to be growing up overnight, learning new technology, and maybe they're not ready for all of that. And then just the nuances, I think. I mean, as we find out more about kids and individuals and their different neuropsychopathies and spectrums and whatnot, that all kids are seen, for being recognized, not different, but special.
Yeah. I think you bring up a really important topic, and that's the health and well-being of our kids, especially mentally right now. Before COVID, the data was really strong that our kids were experiencing the highest rates of clinical depression and anxiety ever recorded. Now that's prior to the pandemic, right? And then you lump on that those let's call it 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It exacerbated the situation. And I worry about that, Megan. I think for me, it all sort of distills down to connection or disconnection. I think we're stronger, our kids are stronger when they're connected. This is one of those intersections of technology and real world that really bug me, is like I just feel like technology has maybe done the opposite of what it was intended to with regards to Facebook. It's brought people apart maybe a little bit more than it's brought them together. I really feel strongly about that. And that's why I think it's so important, because family is just sitting around the dinner table having a meal is connection. Going to dinner with grandparents and multi-generation is like it's golden. It's a connection. And those kind of little things like that I think are so important. So it doesn't surprise me that that's what you're hearing from moms in those rooms. I would think that that's probably one of the biggest things on their minds right now.
I do find it interesting, like, and I'm in a bunch of like chat rooms with moms I say chat rooms. Oh my gosh, I just totally aged myself back to the AOL era, but like in our community groups and whatnot, and people are like literally looking for friends to come to birthday parties for their child because they don't know that anyone's going to show up for the kiddo, or they're looking for mom friends who have similar aged kids. For me, what seemed kind of seamless maybe 13 years ago or so when we moved here, it's not as easy these days.
You think
And
it's
I
harder
find
for
that
moms?
sad.
You think it's harder for them to talk about some of these issues like mental illness in their kids? Or another topic which came up a second ago when you talked about the sandwich generation. A lot of us as parents who have younger kids are being pulled to care for our parents who are now diagnosed with dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. And so, there's these two conflicting worlds that we're having to navigate, neither of which we got a guidebook on. And I don't know, it's interesting because I'll talk to friends of mine and they're like, "Oh my God, my parents have dementia too, and we're really struggling with how to navigate that." But I don't think they would have told me that if I didn't open that up a little bit. And I
Yeah.
don't know if people today are having a harder time talking about maybe those two subjects, as parents.
See, this is where I struggle. I don't know if it's because of this younger, I'll fully put it, I'm 46. So I'm an 80s baby, and there seems to be, and I want to say this gently, less of an intentionality into friendships and into getting to know somebody and getting to know like what's going on or whatever beyond the gram or beyond the talk. That so then you do feel very alone. So then you are on Facebook, and not that I think that's a bad option. Like, I applaud the moms who step out there and like, hey, I'm struggling with finding girlfriends, or I'm struggling with finding friends who have kids my age. Like, I think that's a great thing, and I think that is a huge brave step. I really think we have to go back to the old school mentality here of meeting people where you are planted. So whether that's your neighborhood, your church, your school, and being bold. And I know like people are shy, and I get that. Like, some days I'd rather be an introvert too and close my garage as soon as I get home and not talk to the neighbors across the street. But that's the most intentional conversations and most random that have led to some of the most fulfilling relationships in my life have come from like meeting someone in my grocery store. And when I tell you, that led to a neighborhood group that we take vacations together and we go out to eat together once a month. You have to be open to it. So decide if you're open to it, however means that is. And then the sandwich generation, I think we want to be respectful of our aging parents. It's not, I want to respect, my dad died many, many years ago, 20 this year, but my mom's 77, she's getting up there. I need to respect her wishes and dignity. And she isn't going through, if you hear this, Mom, I know you're not going through dementia, but she's getting older, and we want to respect that. So I don't know if that's why we're not talking about it, or we just don't know what to do.
I just think we don't know what to do.
All of this is new.
I think if you took the phone out of everybody's hand and they automatically disappeared tomorrow, we would be forced to have to engage people verbally. We'd be forced to go next door to our neighbor and introduce ourselves. We couldn't just fall back on the Facebook group. We wouldn't be able to, kids today, they date in groups. They don't ask an individual person to go to the Red Lobster for prom anymore. Now I'm really dating myself,
Oh, we're changing that at our house, my friend. I am not even kidding you, because, and thankfully my daughter had her first boyfriend this year, and his mom is still falls like a little bit old school with that too. And so we coordinated dates where Quinn would go and feel
good for you,
dated and special, but good on that mom who was like, no, she's going to be asked out. She's going to be taken out. She's going to be treated. And it was really special. And so, no, like now my girl knows how to be treated. They're not together anymore, but she knows what it looks like.
Yeah.
So
that brings up I'll tell you a real quick story. My daughter's, I think, probably her first date. We were living in Austin at the time. And we knew she was going out on a date. Great. No big deal. And then all of a sudden she grabs her stuff and says, bye-bye. And I go, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, he's here. And I'm like, where? She knew what was coming, right? She's like, Dad, he texted me, he's out front. I'm like, I love you, but if you want to go out on this date, the guy has got to come to the door and meet his parents, because I wouldn't want you going out with anybody that didn't not respect you that much, right? She looked at me like she was going to kill me, but then she's like, okay, you know what I mean?
yes.
And then 2 seconds later, dude is out of his car at the front door knocking, and we had a great little conversation, and she realized that the world wasn't crumbling in front of her, and he wasn't going to turn around and leave. And it was actually a great learning moment. I think probably not just for her, but for him too as well. And I miss that kind of stuff,
No, and I love that. And it is still really important. And whether it would have been like even a group of her friends coming to pick her up, like if I don't know who you're going, like I need to lay some eyeballs, please. And I need to know who you're going to be hanging out with. I want names. I don't know. I remember how I was at 15.
Yeah.
If that makes me a
Yeah.
little helicopterish, then
So be
I
it.
mean, phew, here we are. Like,
I love it, and I love the fact that you can share all that information about your kids, because I think everybody has these same sort of situations and challenges going on at home. Um, I do this thing, Megan. We always sort of try to wrap things up the same way, and I'm
okay.
gonna. If you okay playing along with this, you really don't know what's coming, do you?
No,
Um,
you did not put it in the show
so
notes,
I'm
so
going to
we'll
ask,
go.
and there's a reason I don't ask you, because you can't prep or you can't mentally be ready for this. Okay, but I'm going to
Okay.
ask you 10 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I need one word, maybe two word. No explanations, no caveats. Just the first true thing, honest thing that comes to your mind. I want you to spit it out. Are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm really terrible at rapid fire. I do it on my podcast as well.
It's okay.
But I like caveats and I like additional words, but I'm going to try my best for you, Mike.
All right,
Let's do it.
I think we get a lot out of people when we do this, and it usually is a lot of fun too, at least for me. Okay, here we go.
Good for you.
First question. The emotion you feel most at the end of a workday when you close your laptop.
Relief.
One word for what your platform actually is, not what the website says, the real one.
Real.
Pinot Grigio or Sonic Diet Coke for the rest of your life. Pick one.
Sonic Diet Coke.
That's a tough one.
It was.
The thing you wish someone had told you before the twins were born.
How hard, but how much love?
Okay. Uh, hustle culture. Necessary, overrated, or complicated?
Overrated.
Mm-hmm. The moment you felt most like a real mother, not a good one, a real one.
Holding my babies the first time, 10 days after they were born.
That's sweet. One word for what you want Ryan and Quinn to remember about who you were.
Their mom.
The version of yourself that this work made possible, or the version it cost you.
Driven.
I like that. What do mothers need more than anything right now?
Understanding.
All right, and this last one, I want you to finish this sentence for me, okay? By the way, you've done an excellent job so far. The thing I know for certain about motherhood is.
It is 1000% worth every heartache, every heartbeat, every tear, every smile, every giggle. It's worth everything.
I would agree that. I love my mom. I can't imagine my world without her.
Yeah.
Even if I have to go change her Netflix password once a week.
Sacrificial love. She changed her diaper at some point, so you can at least change her
Totally.
password.
You're so right about that. Megan, it's so good to have this conversation with you. I really didn't know how it was going to go, but it went way better than I ever imagined.
Good. I was worried.
No, we got it worked out.
Okay.
What you said today about, the gap between the professional place and the home, and the community that you create, and the family that you come home to, that is something that every parent has ever built anything needs to hear. And I really think it was authentic, and that's kind of what I was hoping to get.
Good.
And the honesty that you brought, I think, is really exactly why this show runs, and we try to do what we do. So really appreciate it. Thank you for everything today. And for everyone listening, Megan, where can people find you?
You can go to houstonmom.com. We are publishing fresh content on the daily up there, and then Real Houston Moms Instagram, and that you can find really inspirational things, as well as all of our other content and fun videos with our co-owner Brandy Smith, who is really elevating our platform over there, and of course on Facebook and whatnot. And then you can follow me if you're so interested. Meg, it's MEAG HTX on Instagram, and I just post nonsense, and it's not curated, and I don't really care for it to be curated. It's my fun spot to land. So
Cool. I love it. Thank you so much. And are you sure you don't want me to ask you the Pinot Grigio Diet Coke question again? Do you feel rock solid on that one, Megan?
well, I was looking at the clock, so it's 3:23. So if you would ask me at 5:23, you may have
We might have gotten a different answer from you
a
there, right, Megan?
different answer, but at this point, I'm gonna have to go for the responsible blah 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 Sonic Diet Coke.
Fair enough.
Still
Fair enough.
delicious.
Well, thanks so much, Megan. Appreciate your time and all my
Yeah.
best to you and those twins, okay?
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Of course. If this episode landed for you, please hit the subscribe button and share it. That is how this show grows, one real conversation at a time. I'm Mike McDonald. This is the Campfire Guide to Parenting, and we'll see you around the campfire next time.